Hi girls, here is a very amateur recording of what we did today and continuing in the hat pattern. Please excuse the stain on my table. Okay, so first up we're starting with our slip knot, making their capital A, pulling both tails, pulling the long tail to slide the knot to the top of the hook. And then we're going to do 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to make a foundation ring. So we're going to put the hook next to the knot and slip that on my hook, and then we're going to do a slip stitch, so that's doing a chain through both of those stitches, which then creates this little hole here. This is where we're going to put our trebles. So we're going to do 2 chains, which is the height of our treble, and then we're going to do 12 trebles into that ring. So remembering what a treble is, we're going to go under over, through the hole, hook our wool and come back. So we've got 3 stitches on the hook, and then we're going to go under over, pull it through 2, under over, pull it through 2, and we're going to repeat that 12 more times. Under over, through the hole, hook your wool and back, under over, through 2, under over, through 2. As you're going around, you'll be able to crochet over top of your tail, and that will kind of weave it in. Oh, I haven't pulled the wool from the middle of my ball. Okay. Right, I'm not counting, so I'm just going to give those a little count. That's my 3 chain there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now we've got to the end of the round. We need to do our full stop and close the round. So I'm going to put my hook between the 2 chain and the first treble there. Just pop that on my hook, and then I'm going to slip stitch, do a chain through both. There we go, and now I've closed my round. So I can give the tail a little pull down here, and it'll tighten that hole up a little bit. Okay, and when you weave it through, it'll tighten up even more. Just going to unwind my ball a little because we'll use a fair bit of wool. Okay, so pattern calls for 2 trebles in each stitch in this round. So I'm going to do my 2 chain to start with, and I'm just going to make sure I've moved my slip stitch across so that it's really easy to see the first hole under here where my stitch is going to go. I'm going to do 2 stitches in there, like that. So there we go, you can see that down here, there's my treble, and here's my 2 trebles into that hole there. And I'm going to do 2 stitches in all of the stitches all the way around, so I'll end up with 24. So when you get about a third of the way around your circle, it's a good idea to go back and have a wee check to make sure you've got 2 in each hole. So back here, that's my 3 chain, and I've got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So I'll keep going around the circle. So I just did a little bit there while I paused it. So I've got most of the way around my circle. So I've just got a few more stitches to go. I've got 2 in this stitch. And 2 in the last stitch here. So that will make 24. It's really important when you're doing these increasing rows to count them and make sure you've got the right number of stitches. So you should see 2 stitches in each hole going around. So we've got to close the round here. So I'm going to find my 2 chain, which is here, and my first treble, and put my hook between them, and then pull a chain through that to slip stitch it closed. And I'm going to start with another 2 chain for my next round. So the next round of the pattern goes 1 in the first stitch, 2 stitches in the second, 1 in the next, 2 in the second. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way round. So let's give that a wee go. So I'm going to wind my wool, find the hole of my first stitch, which is here, and do 1 in there, and move over to my next one and do 2, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2. And again, when you're around a third of the way around your circle, it's good to go back and check that you've got the pattern correct, and then you can continue. So let's go back and check. So there's my 2 chain. I've got 1, then 2, then 1, then 2, then 1, then 2, then 1, then 2. So go and do another third of your circle, and then check, and then finish it off doing the other third to get all the way around to the end, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so I've just got 2 stitches, 2 spaces left to go. So I've got a single, and I'm going to finish on a space with 2 in it, which is what always happens at the end of the round. Okay, so here we go, finishing round 3. I'm going to do my slip stitch to close it by putting my hook between my 2 chain and my first treble, and then slip stitch through both to close it up. All right, round 4 asks us to do 1 single, 1 single, and then 2 in a hole. So it's 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So we'll do our 2 chain to start, move our slip stitch out the way so that we can clearly see our hole that we're going to go into here. Okay, so we've got 1 in there, and 1 in the next one, and then 2 in the third stitch. So that's our pattern, 1, 1, 2. Okay, so we're going to repeat that. 1, 1, 2. Let's check it. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So we're going to do that all the way around, finishing on 2 in the last hole. So I'll meet you there. So here I am just at the end of round 4, doing my last 2 stitches into the last stitch, and I'm going to close it up. So we're going to find that 2 chain in the first treble, put it on the hook, slide the wool through both to slip stitch it closed. So if you look kind of carefully, you can see the rounds like the rounds of a tree. So here we've got round 1, round 2, round 3, and round 4. So now we're up to round 5. So round 5 is your last big increasing round if you're doing a size hat for an adult. If you were just going to do a child, you'd stop increasing here and move to round 6. But for an adult, you want to keep going with increasing to make the crown a little bit bigger. So we're going to do another round of increasing. So the pattern for round 5 is 1, 1, 1, then 2 in that stitch. So we've got 3 singles and then a double. So we'll start that together. So we're going to do 1 in the first hole, 1 in the next hole, 1 in the next hole, and then 2 in the next one. Now you might be starting to see a little pattern here, I wonder if you can see it on the video, of the doubles coming up like that together. So you're basically doing your double into the double of the round before. So that might work again. So we'll do 1, 1, 1, and the next one, see there's my double from the round before, and between that I'm going to do my next pair, my next set of double trebles. Oops, got a wee knot there. Right, so we're going to continue round 5 in that pattern. We're going to do single, 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 and then 2 in the same hole, and you should get all the way around and finish in the last stitch with a pair of trebles. I'll meet you there. Okay, I've just got the last couple of stitches to go on round 5. So I had my 3rd single in that set, and in the last hole I've got 2 trebles to make a pair, and then I'm going to close the round. Okay, so we've got virtually a flat circle here. We need to pull that in a little bit tighter. We're nearly finished the shaping of the hat for the crown. So on round 6, it'll say something like treble in the next 28 stitches, and then you do 2, which is actually halfway round. So I'm going to do a single, 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 all the way to around about halfway. Don't be too fussy about it, about halfway, and do 2 into there. And then we're going to continue round going single, 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 and in your last stitch you're going to do 2. So this round we're only increasing by 2 stitches. If you have dropped round 5 because you're making it for a child, it's still worth doing this increasing round. And so you'll have less stitches to go into, but you'll go round to halfway, do 2 about halfway round, and then finish it off and do 2 in the last stitch. So I'm just going to get round to halfway and show you that, but you're going to start off by just doing 1 treble in each stitch until you get halfway round. So I'll meet you there. Okay, so we're on round 6 and I'm halfway round my circle. So the next stitch that I'm going to do, I'm going to do 2 trebles into that stitch. So that's my halfway round increasing, and then I'm going to continue round to the end, and in the last one here I'm going to do 2. So that will give me my two lots of increasing in that round. So I'll meet you round at the end of round 6. Okay, welcome back girls. Here we are at the end of round 6, and I'm just on to my second increase for that round, doing 2 into the last stitch before I close it up. Okay, at this point we are at the end of increasing. So from now on there's no more increasing. You're going to do about 7 rounds of straight crocheting 1 treble into each stitch. So you're going to start as you have been with your 2 chains, and then find your first stitch and pop 1 treble into each stitch, all the way around your hat until you get back to here, and then you're going to close your round, do another 2 chains and repeat it. What you'll notice this from now on in is that your hat will probably start to curl a little bit like this to make the sides of the hat, and just flip it over so it's curling the right way. And I want you to make your hat so that it fits you. So you might do 7 rounds, you might do 8 rounds, you might do 9 rounds. I want it to you to get it so that when you put it on, it covers your ears, so it's nice and comfortable. And then we'll meet back up, and I'll show you how to do a double, and we're going to do a couple of rounds of doubles, which will create a little wee band at the edge of your hat. So go now and do 7 or 8 rounds, check the hat fits, and then push play again, and we'll be ready to do doubles. I'll meet you back soon. Okay, I've done about 4 rows now, so you can see on mine that, make that a bit smaller, I'm starting to make the sides of my hat. See how they're coming down there? So I probably need to do another this much. That might be about 6 more rows to make the sides of the hat. So I'll keep going, you keep going, and we'll meet back when your hat fits you. Okay, here we go then. Here's my hat. You can see half of it there, folded in half. Ready to go. So now my hat fits, comes down over my ears. I'm just going to do a little band on it. So this stitch is called the double stitch. If you search under UK double stitch, it will give you a tutorial for it on YouTube, and I'll give you a quick one here as we go. So the double stitch is about half the height of a treble, so we only need to do 1 chain to start with. So we'll do that there, like that. And I'm still going to go through the same part of the stitch that I went through for the treble. So I'm looking for that first little hole. The difference is when you do a treble, you wind your wool before you go through the hole. When you do a double, you don't do that. You just put your hook through the hole, grab your wool, and come back. So you've got 2 stitches on your hook, hence why it's called a double. Then you wind your wool and pull it through. So it's a shorter stitch and it's a faster stitch. So don't wind your wool, go straight through the hole, hook your wool and come back, wind your yarn and pull it through. Straight through the hole, pull it back, wind your yarn, pull it through. Straight through the hole, pull your wool back, wind your yarn and pull it through. So it's a much shorter, smaller stitch. So we're going to go around the hat with a row of doubles, 1 double stitch in each hole. So just remember, don't wind your yarn first, go straight through the hole, pull your wool back so you've got 2 stitches, wind your yarn, pull it through, stitch is done. And you can just whip round your hat all the way to the end, doing 1 double stitch in each hole. I'll meet you at the end of the round. Okay, just coming up now to the end of my round. Just got the 2 stitches left to go. Just be careful that you do stop at the end of the round and don't just keep going. So that's my last one there. And I'm going to find my 1 chain, which is under here, and slip stitch into that to close the round. Now 1 row of doubles will stop it from curling, but you probably want to do 2 or 3 more to give it a nice sort of look. So 1 chain for your height, and then 1 double in each double from the previous round. And if I just go across and throw a few doubles in here, oopsie, complete the double first before you start your next one. See, already you can see a nice little band sort of forming here. I think 3 rows looks really nice. just to give it a nice edge and to finish it off. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this round and do one more, and then I'll show you how to finish off your hat. See you shortly. Okay, I've done another round and I'm just about to finish off the last couple of stitches. So I had a couple of doubles left to go, 1, 2, and now I'm finished. So I need to just tie it off. So I'm going to cut my thread, my wool, to leave a tail, and I'm going to slip stitch to close like that, and then I'm going to do a chain and pull that tail all the way through to tie a knot in there. So then my little hat is complete. So the last thing we need to do is tie in those ends. So I'm going to turn it inside out so we can see that first end that's in the middle. Now I crocheted over top of mine, but I want to make it a little bit firmer. So I've threaded my needle and I'm going to go back underneath those stitches in there and pull it nice and tight as I go. I'm going to go all the way around, just giving it a little tug each time, and it will just tighten up that circle, so it'll close it up. When you've been round a little over once, just give it a trim. And then still while my hat's inside out, I've got my last thread to sew in. Now if you needed to change wool, change colours, change wool because you ran out while you were crocheting, you just tie a knot and you leave yourselves a 10 or 15 centimetre chain on each side of the thread. So you'd have 2 ends to weave in. You can then just keep crocheting. The knot will be there, but by the time you've sewn in your ends, you won't even notice it. So when you go to sew in your ends, if you've got 2 ends to sew in, sew one way and one the other, rather than it being bulky one way. If you've just got the one, you're just going to pick up some of those stitches, the back of some of those stitches, and weave your thread, weave your needle in and pull the thread through. So you probably want to weave back around about 10 or 15 centimeters worth, just so that you're guaranteeing that that thread's not going to come undone. Okay. And then when you've done that, just cut it off nice and close without cutting your stitches. Turn your hat back in the right way and you're all done. How about that? Now play around with your hat. If you want to make it slouchy, add more rows in here after you're increasing. If you want your band to be a bit bigger, add on more rows of doubles. That looks really cool to define your band a bit. Maybe you want to do your band in a different colour. Maybe you want to put some stripes in through here. Definitely can do that. Pop a pom-pom on the top. Those are available at Thimbles or any other place you'd like to get pom-poms from. They look really cool too. Have a go at it, but I really would encourage you to do 2 or 3. Remember, if you want to make it smaller, it's all about in the crown here. So take out row 5 to make it a little bit smaller. If you want to make it bigger, if you're going to make it for a man, you might want to keep doing that pattern of increasing for one more row so that the crown is a little bit larger. And then you just add more rows on here to accommodate for the slightly larger size of head. Hope you've enjoyed it. Give me some feedback. You'll have my number when I text you this link. So send me a text and let me know how you get on. See you later.